Hello everyone and welcome back to another Erlang video. My last one did really well, so I thought I would do another one. So thanks for everyone that watched that, left a like, and especially thanks to the people that left comments. Really useful, and yeah, they've helped me understand mostly recursion stuff, which I didn't really understand before, so that was really useful. Yeah, I thought I'd do another sort of, I don't really know what you'd call this, reading the documentation and kind of following along. Sort of a tutorial where I'm also learning. It's a bit weird, but yeah, I thought I'd do another one, and we're going to be focusing mostly on concurrency, hopefully. That's kind of what, I think it's what Erlang's known for, it's what I know it for, so that should be quite exciting. But I thought for the sake of completeness, I would finish the rest of the sequential programming section, just in case anybody's oh my god, just in case anybody's following along, then they'll be able to keep going. Although I don't think anybody is, but if you are, or you come into this a bit later, you'll be able to watch both videos and get a good idea of how Erlang works, hopefully, and sort of follow along with stuff. So we're going to finish this off. We got down to this section here, matching guards and scope variables. So yeah, I think, well, it says we're about halfway through. I don't know how much more we've actually got left, really, because there might be some stuff at the bottom, so we might be more than halfway through, which would be good, because then we can get onto the concurrency stuff much quicker. So we'll do this first. It can be useful to find the maximum and minimum temperature in lists like this. I still can't read. I should definitely do a tutorial on how to read. Before extending the program to do this, let us look at functions for finding the maximum value of the elements in a list. So I guess we'll do this one. I think I sort of skipped the code for this one, which I think would have been, yeah, tut5. This one's tut6. So I will do this, and then, because I want to try and follow along. I think the best way to learn, first of all, is by doing. So obviously following along, writing stuff is that, but also practical stuff, like actually building something, which I'm hoping to do. Is that right? Wait, why did it do that? I thought, hang on a minute, create new file. Tut6 dot. Does that not just create? Yeah, I think I'm going to do this next time. I don't know why it did all that. That was a bit full on. But anyway, get back to it. So, module. I'm going to write everything out. I was thinking of maybe copying and pasting some of it, but it's kind of good to get back into it, because it's been about a week actually. Yeah, I think I did it on last Saturday or Sunday, and now it's Saturday. So yeah, it's been about a week since I've done anything, and I'm hoping that I haven't forgot how to do things, which yeah, it was kind of my worry. I was thinking like maybe I should have done this all on the same day, or maybe like the day after or something, like finished it off. But I think we'll be good, hopefully. That says, oh yeah, it's. Why did I put 6 there? I was reading this here, tut6. Okay, we'll go with 1. Yeah, that's red because I haven't actually defined anything. So we'll do list max and head rest. And this is so I think I'm getting this right, and I might not be getting it right, but it was explained to me in the comments, and I did actually look into it a little bit as well myself. But this is called tail recursive, I think, which means that, God, here we go. It means that it doesn't like allocate another stack. Like every time, normally in languages, when you call the function in recursively, the function gets its own kind of memory assigned. But in Erlang, if there's no code after it, it will just reuse it effectively, or like it won't take up more memory. So if you call something, let's say 1,000 times recursively, it still uses the same memory as if you called it like 3 times. But in another programming languages, it doesn't do it. I don't know what you call them. I don't know what, just normal recursion, I guess. Normally it would be like it'd use up 1,000 times more memory or something like that. I think that's how it works. So if you called it 3 times, it would use 3 times the memory. if you called it 1,000 times, it would use like 1,000 times the memory or something like that. So you obviously got to be very, very careful of that. Erlang doesn't do that. It just kind of reuses the memory. Maybe there's going to be more on this later. That's kind of my understanding. It's a bit of a rocky understanding because this isn't really stuff I've looked into before. I know what recursion is, but that's sort of getting into the kind of finer details, which I'm not too familiar with. But I think that's how it works. It's to do with memory allocation and the fact that it sort of reuses memory, as opposed to creating more, something like that. So yeah, but I think you need to not have code after it. So I think this would be fine. But then if I put like, I don't know, some code after this in this function, like, you know, whatever, then it wouldn't work like that. So I guess it would work how recursion normally works in other languages. Something like that. That's my understanding, my quite rough understanding of it. Yeah, so we'll do list max, and then array, res, and then res, and then a semicolon, list max. I would like to at some point, by the way, whilst I'm typing this out, I'll just kind of ramble on about some stuff. I would like to create my own language at some point. I think that would be a lot of fun, a tricky thing to do. But there are a lot of books on it, so I think I'm not too sure I'm going to do that. I don't think I'm going to do, because I was thinking of maybe doing like a similar to what I'm doing now, where I'm kind of working as I'm, you know, learning. So I'm like working through this documentation, learning, and then people watching can also kind of learn from that as well, which is kind of, I suppose, the essence of this channel, is learning. So, you know, it fits in, but I think that's going to be a bit much for me to do that. So I think what I might do is like read a book or something, follow along that kind of by myself, and then try and build another language kind of myself, you know, but using the language that I built before as a reference, the language that I built from the book. So something like that might work out quite well, and I think it'd be interesting to kind of look at some of these concepts like the tail recursive stuff that I mentioned, and then get a much better understanding of that from like a much more technical point of view, rather than just kind of going off someone's comment that they left and looking at Stack Overflow. So yeah, I might look into that at some point. There's a lot of stuff I want to do. I'm still kind of, I suppose, planning things out of how I want to do things on this channel. Because originally this channel was like more structured tutorials, and now I'm kind of thinking that actually it might be better to not really do that and do sort of more stuff like this, or like building projects from scratch, kind of, I suppose, in real time, you know, without like pre-writing the code, because I think that's actually more useful. What's this warning here? Does this need to be different? Variable head is unused. Okay, I see. Yeah, that's fair enough. But yeah, I think the content that I'm going to put up is going to change a bit, and I would like to do some more kind of technical projects that are a bit more heavily technical, like creating my own language. I think it'd be cool to create my own operating system. There's a lot of stuff I want to do, and I think the content on this channel is going to change with those ideas, to being... I don't know about this. I don't know if I'm going to do more where I'm reading documentation. This is a bit of a one-off. I was quite surprised it was as popular as it has been. But just building cool projects, I think, is what I want to do on this channel, rather than the kind of structured tutorials which I've done in the past. Because I don't really enjoy making them as much. I think there's some things that I do enjoy, but I think just working on a project would be more fun. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you want me to do on that, and I can adjust the content, and maybe even make a second channel if there's, you know, enough variation in like the content that goes on this channel versus what people want. It might be split 50-50, like tutorials versus working on projects from scratch or something like that, and that I could, you know, accommodate for that. But anyway, let's actually get on with this and stop rambling on. So I do need to actually run the Erlang shell, which I forgot how to do now. Is it Erl? Yeah. Oh my god, I actually got it. So C for compile. Still remember that. Tut6 and then dot at the end. It is unused, but that's fine. Okay, yeah, they just don't include that issue, but that warning. It's not really an error or anything, so just that warning. I guess they don't really care about, which is fine. And then I'll just copy and paste this. I think that should be fine. There we go. 7. So that works nicely. So got some more text to read here. So good luck, everyone. First, notice that 2 functions have the same name, list max. Yep. However, each of these functions takes a different number of arguments. In Erlang, these are regarded as completely different functions. When you need to distinguish between these functions, you can write name/arity, which is something I had to Google, but apparently that's just the amount of, it's like a mathematical term. Oh no, it literally says it there. Why did I Google it? Where, hang on a minute, let me just finish reading this. Where name is the function name and arity, I think that's how you say it, is the number of arguments. See, I Googled it. I didn't even bother reading on. I saw this just before I started recording. I saw this term here and I was like, hang on a minute, what does that mean? But yeah, just the number of arguments is just a fancy way of saying that. A cool way of saying it though, and I think that's how you say it, arity or arity. I don't really know, but I'll go with arity. In this case, list underscore max 1 and list underscore max 2. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. In this example, you can walk through a list carrying a value. In this case, results so far, list max 1 simply assumes that the max value of the list is the head of the list and calls list max 2 with the rest of the list and the value of the head of the list. In the above, this would be list max and then all those numbers and a 1 because it's the first value. If you try to use list max 1 with an empty list, oh, little voice break there for you, or try to use it with something that is not a list at all, you would cause an error. Notice that Erlang philosophy is not to handle errors of this type in the function they occur, but to do so elsewhere. More about this later, okay? In list max 1, that's actually quite that's an interesting thing because there are a lot of languages that use exceptions, and that's kind of a similar thing where it's not, you don't handle it in the function, you handle it somewhere else. Erlang kind of does that, although I think Erlang's a bit different in a sense because Erlang's kind of meant to, it's like you're allowed to fail in Erlang. It's a bit weird, but in other languages they kind of pass it up the chain and then handle it somewhere else. But yeah, anyway, let's keep going. Where were we? So was it? Yeah, to do so elsewhere. In list max 2, you walk down the list. So list max 2 is, it's both of these, I think, technically. So list max 1 is this one, and then list max 2. Oh, list max 2 is all of these actually. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. It's a bit confusing, this whole like having the thing and then yeah. Having multiple functions of the same name is something that I'm not really used to. So in list max 2, you walk down the list and use head instead of results so far. When head is greater than results so far, when you walk down the list, use the results so far. When head, okay, I see. Yeah. When is a special word used by the arrow function in the function to say that you can only use this part of the function if the test that follows is true. A test of this type is called guard. If the guard is false, that is the guard fails. The next part of the function is tried. In this case, if head is not greater than result so far, then it must be smaller or equal to it. This means that a guard on the next part of the function is not needed. Okay. That makes sense, yeah. So if head is greater than result so far, run this. Otherwise, go to this one. I think that's what that's saying. Some useful operators in guards are these, which are just kind of the normal operators you have. To change the above program to one that works out the minimum value of the element, you only need to write less than instead of greater than. But it would be wise to change the name of the function to list min. Yeah, that's fair. Earlier it was mentioned that a variable can only be given a value once in its scope. In the above, you see that result so far is given several times. That is okay, since every time you call list max 2, you create a new scope, and one can regard result so far as a different variable. I don't know if I should be reading through every single thing. This feels a bit full on. Feels like I've got to be reading, because I wanted to get to the concurrency stuff. So I might start picking and choosing kind of what you know, what is like worth reading. Another way of creating, because like we know what scopes are, and I think scopes will work the same way. Another way of creating variable. I'm just trying to see if it like there is something that works differently. Right. No match of right hand side values. Particularly useful pulling up Erlang and creating new ones. Oh, okay. So this is actually a. Yeah, we should probably read this part actually. So another way of creating and giving a variable a value is by using the match operator. So if you write m equals 5, a variable called m is created with the value 5. If in the same scope you then write m equals 6, an error is returned. Try it out in the shell. Oh, okay, so is that just how you would like normally assign a value in like sort of other languages? But it's like it's almost like a constant, I suppose, because it doesn't let you reassign it. Maybe you can use because there is another one, isn't there? I'll just write here, but there's equals, but then there's also the kind of that one, the colon equals. I wonder if that lets you reassign it, but yeah, we'll see that later. I assume if that is the case, it'll tell us, but I don't actually see it, so maybe not. So to use the match operator is particularly useful for pulling apart Erlang terms and creating new ones. X, Y equals to Paris. So X is going to be Paris and Y is going to be F28, so that's fine. And that's a what did they call that? They called it something, didn't they? Yeah, map, I think it was. Oh no, not map. Is it a list? Or is it not a list? Maybe it is a map, actually. Oh no, it's a tuple, maybe. Yeah, I think it's a tuple. Okay. Yeah, getting a bit confused there. So yeah, let's keep going. I think we got here. Here, X gets the value Paris and Y the value of F28. If you try to do the same thing again with another city, an error is returned. Variables can also be used to improve the readability of programs. For example, in the function listmax2 above, you can write listmax head rest results so far. New result far equals head. Okay. Yeah, that's fair enough. This is possibly a little clearer. More about lists. Yay! Remember that. Oh, okay, there we go. I didn't know where it went then. Yeah, I clicked on the link. Remember that the what was that called? It was like bar or something. Let me just vertical bar. That was it. Remember that the vertical bar operator can be used to get the head of a list. The vertical bar operator can also be used to add a head to the list. Oh, okay. Oh, it's like the other side. So, oh, and that's like the rest of the list. So yeah, that makes sense. Oh, that's quite convenient actually. Yeah. So instead of like sort of an array push, you do this. Or would it be push, or would it be because you're adding it at the beginning, aren't you? So it's like it's not push, it's something else, I think. Technically, I think push adds to the end of it, if I'm right. Anyway, I don't know. There's a term for it. Now an example of this when working with lists, reversing the order of a list. Oh, that's interesting. So we'll do. I actually really want to do this one because that's quite an interesting way of using things. So tut8. Wait, what happened to tut7? Tut6? I don't know. Tut7's just kind of gone. So okay, we'll go with it. Tut8. That's fine. Oh, I accidentally pasted instead of closing the file explorer thing. So module tut8 export. Sometimes I'm a bit confused that sometimes they leave a space here and sometimes they don't. I don't really know what. I don't know what they want me to do. What do people normally do? Because there's conventions that you need to follow. Reverse /1 arity1. as you might say. New word I've learnt there. It's probably not arity, it's probably arity. I'm just saying it wrong, but I don't have someone here to pronounce it for me. List. Oh, that's PHP array stuff. Reverse. For some reason, I'm really struggling to spell reverse here. It's too long for me. Oh, dot. That's fine. And then reverse. Head. Rest. And then reverse list. So we call that again reverse. Okay, that's interesting. So we've got rest, we're passing in the array. And we're effectively creating a new array. Containing reversed list. And then trying to think now, how's that reversing it? So okay. Yeah, I'll just finish writing it and then figure it out. But reverse list and reverse list. Okay, so I'm a little bit confused how it's reversing it. So we've got the list that gets passed in initially, and then we've got head. So that's the first. Unless I'm misunderstanding how this works. So Madrid, London, Rome. Let me just run the actual code and then see what's going on. I don't know if I'm being dumb here that I just can't figure this out, but I don't really know how it's reversing it. And to be honest with you, I don't really know how to explain my logic here as to why it's not. But that is reversing it. We've got. So I guess the logic is we pass in an array 1, 2, 3. And when we call this function first, we grab head, which will be 1. And then we've got the rest of the array, which is 2, 3. And then we call the function again. Actually, let me do this. So we've got 1. So on the first call of this function here, so when it first gets called, this will create this, right? And then it calls it again with the rest of the array, which is this. So then it grabs 2. Oh yeah, because then it grabs 2 from it, the head. Then it's got the rest of the array, which is just 3. And then it adds it to this array. So it'll add 2 with the rest of the array, which is 1. And then it calls it again and then gets 3, and then adds it to the rest of the array, which is 2, 1. Okay, see, it's really weird. Like I'm looking at that and I'm sort of not really getting how it works. But then when I write it out, obviously it makes more sense. But even though I've just written this out, I'm still looking at it like, what's going on here? Reversed. Yeah, because it gets the first value and then puts it in the array, and then gets the second value and puts it at the beginning of this array, and then the rest of it, the first value is then the last value, right? So it makes sense. Just took a bit of time to figure out in my head because my brain doesn't work that good. So yeah, that's good. Yeah, a little bit confusing there. I'm still looking at it now, and I'm sort of getting it, but it's still, there's a little bit of, for some reason, there's like a mental block there where I'm a bit like, how's that working? Even though I've just literally just written it out and said it out. I get it, but yeah, for some reason it's confusing me. But it does make sense. Oh, I think it literally is about to explain to me how that works. Okay, I did that without even realizing that this next bit is literally about to explain. I should really just read the documentation a bit more. Consider how reverse list is built. It starts with an empty array, then successively, the heads are taken off of the list and added to be reversed, off the list to be reversed and added to the reverse list as shown in the following. Yes, so yeah, we start off with that. This is a much better way of doing it. I was very lazy with my explanation. But yeah, so it starts off with 1, 2, 3 and an empty result so far. Then it grabs the 1, puts it at the beginning. You got left with 2 and 3. Then we do it again with 2 and 3 with 1 there, and then take 2, put it there with the 1 as the rest of the array. Got 3, and then it ends with 3, 2, 1. So it does make sense. It does make sense. I was thinking, how does that work? That's a much better way of putting it. So the module lists contains many functions for manipulating lists, for example, for reversing them. So it actually, does it just, oh, it just exists, like in the standard library or something. So before writing a list manipulating function, it is a good idea to check if one isn't. To check if one not already is written for you. Was that me messing that up? So before writing a list manipulating function, it's a good idea to check if one not already is written for you. I think that is actually just a badly worded sentence. I think I'm fine on that one. I was reading it, I was like, am I going crazy? I just can't read. But yeah, I think that's just written. It's a good idea to check if one is not already, if one not, it already is written for you. I think that just needs a bit of a rewrite on that one. Anyway, now let us get back to the cities and temperatures, but take a more structured approach to this. First, let us convert the whole list to Celsius as follows. Okay, oh my god. Oh, this is tut 7. Oh, okay, it was a bit out of order, but we'll go with it. Tut 7, I guess. Should follow along with this. Okay. Oh god, this is actually not going to turn into concurrency. It's the same thing is going to happen as happened last time, where I was hoping to get a project done and I got nowhere near getting a project done. And now I'm messing around on sequential programming still, even though I wanted to get to concurrency. Oh, wrong button. So, format temps. It's good to write it out though, because it kind of makes me a bit, like it builds up that muscle memory, which is good. List of cities. I like how verbose they are with the, or explicit. Maybe that means the same thing, but I like how explicit they are with their function names. That's how I do not function names, sorry. Well, actually, yeah, function names as well, but they're variable names. It's not just like X. It's like they're very specific with it, which is what I do when I'm declaring variables or naming variables. I'm very specific with what they are, and I hate like calling something X. I sometimes spend a bit too much time coming up with good names for my variables and functions. Right, convert list. So convert list to C. So convert. Oh no, what was that? Convert time unit. I don't know where that even got that from. Convert list to C. So it takes in. So this is where it gets a bit confusing. So it takes in a tuple of name and then F, and then rest. Fine. Converted city equals name. My god, look at this. So C F minus 32 is 32. F minus 32 times by 5 divided by 9. I think that's fine, is it? It's giving me an error, but I don't know why. Syntax error before. I'm looking and I don't really see anything different. Is that? Hang on a minute. Let me just finish writing the function and then see. So converted city and then convert list to C with the rest. Yeah, so there's something wrong with this and I don't know what I've done wrong. I'm looking and it looks pretty similar. Let me just copy this and see if... No, so it's somewhere else. Convert list. What have I done wrong here? So format temps, list of cities. Copy this entire bit. I don't really get what's going on here because let me literally just copy. Oh, let me just copy the entire thing. So what? Oh, is it literally because this one's not defined? Is that why? I mean, I can just, yeah, I could just copy. Oh, okay. Let me just do this again. All right, that's fine. So yeah, I think it was literally because I hadn't defined this yet, and yeah. So this one. Okay. Yeah, it's really taking a bit of getting used to here. These the fact that they've got so many, like the functions are called the same, but this one's different because it takes in tuple. Yeah, I'm a bit confused to this one actually. At this one, so it passes in this. Okay, it's literally. I really should read ahead because there's literally an explanation. Okay. Here, format temps 1 calls convert lists to C1. Convert list to C1 takes off the head of the list of cities. Converts it to Celsius if needed. The vertical bar operator is used to add the converted to the rest of the list. Okay. This is done until the end of the list is reached. That is, the list is empty. Now, when the list is converted, a function to print is added. Oh, okay. We've got these two things. Let me just converted list, and then print temp, inverted list. Wiggly line, minus 15 W, squiggly line again, C, squiggly line N. Okay. Is that right? Yeah, C. That's fine. And then we've got name and temp. Rest and temp with nothing is okay. Oh, no, that was wrong. Is okay. There we go. Okay. That should work. I'll give this one a test. I didn't test it before. Let me just give this one a test. So C put 7. And then I'll just pass this in. That's fine. There we go. Okay, cool. Now a function. God, so much more. Oh my God. Okay, I may just read this one. Yeah, this is where it starts to get a little bit mental, I think. So now a function has to be added to find the cities with the maximum and minimum temperatures. The following program is not the most efficient way of doing this, as you walk through the list of cities 4 times. But it is better to strive for clarity and correctness and to make programs efficient only if needed. Fair enough. So I think we're sort of reusing what we've already done, find max and min. So yeah, that's fair enough. So we've got these. Yes, we've got these guards. If temp max city, min city, and then okay, that makes sense. Yeah, so yeah, it goes through and each time checks if the temperature is bigger than the max temp, then it becomes max city becomes this one. Otherwise, it just doesn't change. Or if it's less than the minimum temperature, then min city gets set to the current name or the current city, I suppose. Yeah, that makes sense. It's a bit of a I think it's one of those things that takes a bit of getting used to. Not used to writing code like that, so yeah, that's fine though. And then it obviously just prints it out. All right, God, we almost there. Okay, I don't know how much of it. Hopefully, concurrency there isn't a huge amount to cover. Although I get the feeling that there probably is. It's probably going to be more confusing than anything I've done so far, I get the feeling. But yeah, anyway, so if and case. Right, the function find max and min works out the maximum and minimum temperature. A new construct if is introduced here. It works as follows. Yes, so Notice that there is no semicolon before end. Conditions do the same as guards. That is, tests that succeed or fail. Erlang starts at the top, tests until it finds a condition that succeeds. Then it evaluates the action following the condition and ignores all other conditions and actions before the end. If no condition matches, a runtime failure occurs. A condition that always succeeds is the atom true. That is often used last in an if, meaning do the action following the true if all other conditions have failed. Okay. Oh, I see. So that's why. Okay. So if that's not true, then it just does this. That makes sense. Okay. The following is a short program to show the workings of if. Yeah, we probably don't have to go crazy with this and like start writing all this stuff out. If, you know, it works fairly well, it works pretty much the same as if statements in other languages. Sort of if-else if type thing going on. That's fine. And then the true is kind of like the else, I suppose. So it's like if everything else fails, then do this. So that makes sense. Okay. So does not cause any condition to succeed. This leads to a runtime error, if clause. Here, nicely formatted by the shell. Case is another construct in Erlang. Recall that convert length function was written as, the same program can also be written as case length of, oh, is that like switch? Is that a switch or something? Like I'm trying to kind of draw similarities between other languages because it's kind of getting to a point now where I'm a bit like, well, I'm confused anyway, but just helping me to understand it. Thinking of like, oh, what's the equivalent in other languages? Helping a bit. So both case and if, because I'm thinking like case functions more like. Let me just see. Try to find something quickly. When? Okay. I'm just trying to think if there's. So yeah, the thing that I've noticed is there's this when here, right, which is a guard, I guess, which is before this arrow, and then the if and the case are after the arrow. So if is like part of the function, I guess, like the function body. So yeah, that makes more sense. Yeah, so these are just the equivalent of like if and switch, I think. I think this is a switch, but I don't. I only think that because it says case. So I guess, yeah, I think this function's more like a switch, which is good. So yeah, good. That's much more. That makes much more sense. The fact that it's part of the function makes more sense to me. Right. Anyway, both case and if have return values. That is, in the above example, case returned either inch or centimeter. The behavior of case can also be modified by using guards. So you can put, oh, okay. If. Yeah, so there we go. So you can have a guard as well. So yeah, you can have it. That makes sense. Oh yeah, okay, that was fairly a straightforward section. Just the like if statements and switch statements, I think, or case in this case. That's good. Built-in functions. Okay. Built-in functions, BIFs, are functions that for some reason are built into Erlang virtual machine. They make that sound like it's like a bad thing. Like for some reason these exist. I don't know why. Yeah, so they're just like helper functions, I guess. So BIFs often implement functionality that is impossible or too efficient to implement in Erlang. Okay. Some BIFs can be called using the function name only, but they are by default belonging to the Erlang module. For example, to call the BIF trunk, below is an equivalent to call Erlang trunk. Okay, that makes sense. As shown, first it checked if a year is a leap. Here is it 400. I don't know if we have to read all this, but yeah, built-in functions make sense. So yeah, we sort of get that. I think that's is tuple, is atom, those kind of things. Yeah, that's good. Atom to list. Okay. So we get that. We get the built-in functions. Very useful. We don't need to spend forever on that. I feel like I'm going to mess up here and go like forward using Erlang and then be like, oh, what do I do here? And it's because I've just skipped like parts of the tutorial. Erlang, like most modern functional programming languages, has higher order functions. Here's an example using the shell. Okay. Okay, this might be a bit more tricky for me to get. Here is defined function that doubles the value of a number and assign this function to a variable. Thus, xf5 returns 10. Two useful functions when working with lists are for each and map, which are defined as follows. Okay then, so they have a for each. Right, okay. So right, okay, I see. So yeah. I think the difference between for each and map is that map returns something, whereas for each doesn't. It just loops through the list, I guess is the right term for Erlang, but the array basically. It loops through the array, doesn't return anything. It just runs this function, whereas map will return a new list with whatever like modifications are made to it because from this function that it calls. So that makes sense. Yeah, those are things I've used before, but obviously in other languages. Let us now define a fun that can be used to go through a list of cities and temperatures. Oh god, it's always cities and temperatures, man. This is doing my head in. Okay, I mean we don't have to write this out because I do get this. Convert list to C. So yeah, it maps it through. That makes sense to use a map, and then yeah, convert to C. So okay, that's how you would use that. That's fine. I think these are things that like, as long as I'm aware of them, I can come back and like reference the documentation later on, and it doesn't really matter if I'm, you know, like I sort of get them already because I've used them in other languages. It's more of a sort of syntax thing, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say there. I think if I'm reading if there's any other things that I need to figure out. I think it's fine. I think we're good. Yeah. All right. Concurrency. Is this smaller? Okay. Doesn't look smaller. I may need to actually just make this its own tutorial. I don't know how long I've been recording for, but I think this needs to be its own thing, which I think I'll do. I won't wait a week to do it because I think waiting a week kind of made me forget other stuff. So that last part of this sequential programming was actually much more trickier than it needed to be because I haven't forgotten everything, but waiting a week probably wasn't the best idea. So I'll do this one much quicker. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Very interesting stuff there. I think this stuff at the stuff that I went through is going to take a little bit of getting used to, the whole, you know, having stuff like this and like how that affects the pro, because it's not something I've used before. This kind of stuff I can't think of like an equivalent in another language. So yeah, that's it'll take some getting used to, and like it's more of a case of like, how do I write programs that use this kind of stuff? Like I'm going to have to program things a little bit differently in the fact that it seems like everything's just recursion. There's no like loops and stuff. You just do it through recursion, which is also another thing that's a bit trickier. It's not something I'm used to. It's interesting though. I don't know if I'll be able to take that into other languages because I don't think I can. The way that other languages do recursion, as I mentioned sort of near the beginning of the video, is not as efficient as how Erlang does it. So, but I suppose having that kind of understanding of recursion, like how you would use it, is still quite useful. Because you do use recursion in other languages, although I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think I've ever... There's only one time I can think of where I've had a reason to do recursion, like actually do recursion, that's not like, learning sort of algorithms and stuff, so yeah. But so I don't know how useful that's going to be in other languages, but anyway, that doesn't really matter. It's still fun. It's still fun to kind of learn things and figure out how to do things in Erlang, and I'm hoping that at some point in the near future I can actually work on a project. I don't really know what project I'm going to do. I'm thinking kind of something to do with, messaging, right? Because that's kind of what I know Erlang from, is companies like WhatsApp and Ericsson using it. So doing something with messaging makes a lot of sense, and that's kind of seems to be what it's designed for. Obviously, you can do other stuff as well, so maybe there's other projects I could do, and it might be quite interesting to do multiple projects and sort of get used to using Erlang for some reason. I still don't know why I'm really learning it. I just think it's quite fun, but anyway. I suppose that is good enough a reason, because it's fun. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.